Why do you and the Lily left LBC hit Lee Anderson so much?
I don't hate anybody, John.
You do. You do. He's only speaking for the silent majority who will never get a voice on LBC.
Well, here you are. I mean, I don't know what.
You're as bad. You're actually. I used to like you when you were on 10 o'clock at night, but you're as bad now as James O'Brien.
I don't know, John. I've got no idea. So tell me what I've done wrong.
You run down the Tory party all the time.
Well, do you not think that there are parts of the Tory party and indeed some of its record that deserves quite significant scrutiny?
And so does the Labour Party, but you never talk about that.
Well, for one reason being that they're not in government, John. They're not in charge and haven't been for 13 years. Shut up.
2008, during the expenses scandal, you can laugh about all you want and take the piss in all you want. 2008, the expenses scandal, there were 6 MPs sent to jail for the expenses scandal. They were all Labour. But you lot never talk about that.
Well, there's a former Labour MP who's been sent to jail today about whom we're going to have much more information shortly.
You're not talking about that.
I can only talk about one thing at a time, John.
You're talking about Lee Anderson.
Yeah.
Speaking for the majority of those people who will never get a say in the Lily left LBC.
Well, John, here you are on the Lily left LBC.
The Lily left LBC.
Here you are on the and I mean, I'll bring it up once again. I'll bring it up once again. But
the LBC is the loony left LBC.
It's very difficult, I think, John, to be described as loony left, having worked for the Conservative Party. And you know that.
The LBC is the loony left.
Well, you keep saying that. I'll come back to the point, John. I used to work for the Conservative Party, so I think the idea that it is therefore somehow going to be completely and always taking the mick out of the Conservative, or always holding up their record saying it's bad, I'm not sure is true.
That's what LBC does.
I don't. Again, I'm not sure. I agree with your diagnosis at all.
Apart from me and Dale, there's only journalists now in LBC worth listening to.
Well, I'm glad you listen. And I'm glad you feel that you've had the opportunity to make your point on the lily-livered, lefty, whatever, as someone who never gets on. And here you are making your point on national radio. I just can't see why you don't. I just can't see why you can't see that there is room for criticism for the Conservative government. Lee
Anderson on the Conservative government is a Conservative MP, and the little left hit him.
And you think
he speaks for people like me?
And you would,
the silent majority, silent majority.
You would wish that there would be greater representation of people like Lee Anderson with his views speaking for the silent majority within the Conservative Party.
Absolutely.
And what would that party be called?
The Conservative Party.
And the Conservative Party would, as its policies, say that, for example, nuisance tenants can go and live in a field in a tent and pick potatoes.
You're picking potatoes now, fella.
I don't know what that means.
You're picking potatoes because you don't live in the real world. That's why. That's why you don't understand that.
I can't be accused of literally picking. John, I appreciate the call. Thank you. There's another John. God help. John's a new caller in Sandbach in Cheshire. John.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
I tell you what, I wouldn't like your job.
Oh, I don't know. It has its moments. Fire away, sir.
I'd never heard of this Lee Anderson until his comments about people can't cook and should be able to cook and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, what rock did he climb from under? And,
you've heard your namesake say that this is a man who represents quite a lot of people, the silent majority.
Well, maybe the silent right-wing fascist majority. I'm not going to go.
I can't leave that untouched either. I don't think you can't call this man a fascist.
No, I call him probably from the sound of his accent, DUP, living over here. Probably got Union Jack stuck outside his house and all that kind of stuff.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with that. Best of luck to him. But that's the kind of people they are.
Anyway. In what kind of people are they?
Well, they get taken for a ride by the Conservative Party. What did Johnson say to the Northern Irish DUP?
The DUP will always be shaking their fists now forevermore. Put that issue to one side, John, and on the Lee Anderson point, Or in fact, John's point about Lee Anderson, he speaks for the silent majority. You say no because?
No, because I don't know what he calls a silent majority. Who is he referring to? He doesn't speak for me. And actually, from what I've heard of that bloke say, what he's been saying, I think to myself, if he had two brains, one would be lonely. The comments that he's come out with really just defy belief.
But those are the comments of the silent majority. The silent majority might think that bringing back the death penalty is a good idea.
I mean, we all feel that way. There are certain issues, certain cases that bring it to mind, and you think, all that kind of stuff. Maybe we should adopt the American system of 99 years.
So why don't we, John? If you feel like that, why don't we do it? That's how you feel.
About what?
About the death penalty. God.
No, I don't feel like I said there's times when things happen that you think that should be.
Right, well,
there.
imagine the example that you've just given of a time when you thought that might be the right thing to do. And my question to you is, why wouldn't you want to see that happen?
Because it's not the right thing to do.
Good man. John, thank you very much indeed for the call.